Deb.
Okay, I hear you, Vince. The boss. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start this meeting. Is there anybody taping? Val, I see your hand. Okay, we'll stand, have a moment of silence, and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, was there anybody besides Val that had their hand up for taping? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Fryman does, okay. So tonight is just a town hall, get your ideas, concerns, opinions. I wanna touch upon two things. One, we had a meeting the board did with traffic safety, and also AVRC was there regarding speeding and fines, because that's such still an issue in the neighborhood. So they came up with some wording, and this is just preliminary, there's nothing set in stone on this, but the wording that they had come up with was, any speeding over the posted speed limit sign will result in a violation and fine of the following. First violation, there will just be the fine of $50. The second violation of speeding would be a violation and suspension of 30 days with a fine of $75. Sorry. Oh, the first one, I'm sorry, there's no suspension. That's right, no suspension. The second violation would be the suspension of 30 days. The first was 2 weeks. And then anything 10 miles and over was a $100 fine no matter what, even the first offense. So this is just preliminary because the speeding is just still going on. We talked to High Point about their speeding issue. Of course, they have the sheriff that goes in there, but they do have a significant speeding issue over there, just like we have here, but they have to rely on the sheriff to patrol and do some things there. So this is just preliminary. We're just in the beginning stages of this. So we wanted to let you know the work that we have done so far on it, so we can discuss that also. The other thing, and I know you wanted to have an update on is the house on Fleetway. It was sold at auction for $9,900. I spoke with the new owner of the house. He is an LLC. He actually himself personally lives in Puerto Rico. His company is here. We had a very long discussion about the whole situation. He has to wait for, I know it's sold, he has to wait for his certificate of seal. I don't know how much you all have been watching or paying attention to the news or anything, but last Saturday, the county of Hernando was, for lack of better words, hacked. Every single department has no computers. There is nothing. I work for the county, we are not even allowed to turn them on. A lot of offices have no phones because their phones is voice over internet. So we have nothing. I can say, because the news reported it today, that the FBI is involved. They were called in, but they, at this point, don't know when we will get anything back. So he has to have a certificate of seal to say that he actually owns the house. Our attorney, real estate attorney who did it, happens to have the certificate of seal. He is sending that to us so that I can go ahead and send it to the new owner. And this one came through, which was very strange. It came through right on Friday. Anything that is in the computers on Friday or before, they believe it's all still there. Anything afterwards, they don't know. So any of you who deal with computers for work or a living knows how extremely serious this is. I can tell you, a county city, St. Cloud, was hit. They don't know if it's I don't know if it's the same thing, but they were hacked and they can't pay the ransom. So they're still down, and this is going on 2 weeks. So anyone who's working, who relies on computers and things like that, this is extremely serious. And to say everybody's at wit's end, they've called in a third-party company, computer people that they specialize in this, and they are trying to at least get something for us. I can tell you it is so bad, and you have all these computer people, and this is all they do for a living, just to put email on the department supervisor's phone, just email, took over 4 hours. That's with them having the phone in constantly trying to do something. They have told us that if they got something back on our computer, it doesn't mean it will be there the next day. So we did happen to get the seal, and we're gonna go ahead and get that to him tomorrow. So what does that mean at this point? So what it means now is, I also have something to say from Jim to everybody also, so I'll say that right after this. So what does that mean? That means that once he has the seal in hand, the paperwork, and that person no longer owns property here in Brookridge, then it becomes a trespassing issue at the gate. And that's what we're gonna deal with. Before we do anything, I put a call into the 2 community policing deputies because we wanted to have a meeting with them to tell them the whole thing, get them all the paperwork. We're sure she doesn't have a copy, or maybe she does, we have no idea. The other thing we did speak with the owner about was maintaining all personal property. And he has agreed to that, and he's been very, very nice and accommodating through the whole thing. So that is what I have on that house there. Jim actually wanted me, he's not here tonight, he wanted me to read this to everybody. So here it goes. This is not a BCPO-sponsored community event. If you are a shut-in or someone with a special need or know of such a person, there will be a special luncheon next Wednesday, April 10th. This meal will be delivered to your home and privacy and confidentiality will be respected. If you are interested, please call Jim Westbrook at 231-392-3303. Again, 231-392-3303. And he will make sure that a meal is delivered to you. So if you know anybody and you can share that information, he, I know, will be greatly appreciative of that. And if one of you remind me, I'll say it one more time before we close the meeting tonight. So people who are just tuning in can get that information. So with that said, we'll open up the floor for anybody who has anything they would like to say. And Tracy, I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Did you have anything that you wanted to say regarding the development? Or I don't mean to put you on the spot like that at all. I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Tracy Montgomery, Unit 2. I apologize for the sunglasses because I just got dilated, so I had to keep them on. So I'm going to give you an update, but it's really not a lot of information, but what I know at this point to be true and factual from the developer. The first item on their agenda it's called the Alliance at the Grove. I think I've gone over that. That's going to be the name of the project over there. Everything is going forward. I talked with the superintendent of that particular job, and they are waiting on Hernando County right now. The permitting's all done. It's just a matter of Hernando County. Obviously, there's a problem, so not an excuse, but it just has been a continuum. Even with these kind of large constructions, we're going to have issues with that. What they'll do first is they will tear down that old assisted living facility, will come down first, and then they'll work their way this way, taking down the real estate office. And just a reminder to everyone that there's a silt fence up now. Everybody's seen that silt fence around there. That lets you know that they mean business, because I've had people come up to me and say, oh, I heard they're not building there. I'm like, I don't know who you're talking to, but. So I implore people, if you have questions, please call me. I'm in the book, I'm in the news and views. And if anything else comes up, I will certainly share that with the community. Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy. If you want to, yeah, we can share.
I'll let you know the next.
Good evening. There we go. Good evening, Nancy Whetstone, Unit 4. Thank you for the information update on the speeding and possible corrections for that. This topic that I'm going to talk on tonight is in follow-up to the March 7th Town Hall discussion led by Jim about the graduated speeding fine. So we see that there's something happening with that. And part of that discussion dealt with suspension of privileges due to fines. That was brought up. And it was stated by a Brookridge staff member that our community doesn't do that. We don't have suspensions. So I went back and just tried to take a look at what exists for that. And after I reviewed it, Florida Statute 720, which dictates what we do, states in it on, so there, 720-305, obligations of members and remedies of laws, number 2A, so subsection 2A, it says an association may suspend for a reasonable period of time the right of a member or member's tenants, guests, invitee, blah, blah, blah. Section 3 says if a member is more than 90 days delinquent in paying for fees, fines, blah, 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 the association may suspend them. So 720 definitely says we can. And then I found in our governing documents, in the bylaws of our governing documents, Article 14, violations and enforcement, Section 1, says the board has the right and responsibility to enforce all governing documents. Great. Enforcement may include fines, suspension of rights, and suspensions of voting. So that covers that. We can do it. It's not a problem. And then in the deed restrictions, Article 11, violations and enforcement based on the revision ratified on April 4th, 2018, Article 11, Section 3 says fines and suspension rights and hearings, fines and suspensions of rights. In addition to all other remedies, the board may suspend the right to use common areas. In Section 3B, the board may suspend for a reasonable period of time the rights. So we do have things within. I just wanted to, have clarity because it sounded like we didn't have any ability to do that based on the March 7th town hall. Thanks.
Thank you, Nancy. Is there anybody else? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Can you come up to the podium? Hi.
Hi, everyone. I'm new here. My name is Carol Howard.
Put the mic to your mouth, please.
Closer? Is that better?
Yes.
Too loud? Okay. My name is Carol Howard. I moved here in December from California. I'm at 15621 Brookridge. I've had some problems. Some have been resolved, some haven't. There's a unit next to me that has no vapor barrier under it. It's all just shattered and hanging down. And it was that way when I moved in. It's been that way for a long, long time. Recently, I had a bird feeder out on that side. And all of a sudden I noticed rats. Well, the rats are coming from the unit next to me. So I took the bird feeder down so they won't have food. But they're still coming. I sat out in my little screen room on Monday night and I watched them, about 10 or 12 of them, some big, some small, go underneath my car. And I kind of figured that because I have 2 little dogs. And every time I would take them out for a walk, go right into the car. So I understand the board can't do anything about that. It's up to each one of us. And I understand there is a rat problem here in the community from talking to my unit rep. In any event, I have a pest control company coming on Monday to see if we can get that eradicated. The other issue was the unit on the other side of me. One's on the north side, one's on the south side. They had stacks and stacks of cardboard boxes in their carport and all kinds of trash and whatever. So I think that's being taken care of. The unit behind me, I'm kind of surrounded. I moved into a really bad situation, but it's getting there. The unit behind me, which is I guess on Dickens, there's a huge pile of debris and old tree limbs that have come down. And I saw 2 snakes come out of there when I was raking leaves. And a couple of rats in the daytime, which rats don't normally come out in the daytime. So I don't know how that's gonna get resolved. I have a suggestion that perhaps code enforcement, I'm sure, is overwhelmed by a lot of things. And I was thinking, why can't each unit rep get some volunteers? And maybe we can go around, like once a year, check for debris, and just do a site inspection real quick. If we see a problem, take a picture, put down the address, give that information to code enforcement, and let them do what they're supposed to do.
Are you right on the boulevard?
I am.
How does code enforcement not see that?
Well, they just drive around, they don't get out of their vehicles and go inspect anything. That's what I was told, that they just, drive and look. Well, tonight, and I'm the kind of person, if I see something, I say something. When I lived in Sacramento, I stopped a bombing because I saw 2 guys with backpacks and they were right near the King's Arena. They were looking around, they were very suspicious. I called 911. The police came, they grabbed them. I stood way off in the distance just watching. And they had bombs in their backpacks. They were going for the King's Arena, which is the basketball team, NBA. I told the police, don't get me involved in any other way. I don't want anybody knowing that I did anything.
It's on tape now.
So I'm just saying, I'm that kind of person. When I see something, I say something. I hope that whoever I report something to, something is going to get done. If not, I'll keep on it until it gets done. I'm very proactive.
And just to let you know that both houses, there was citations sent out, but as you all know, they have 14 days. Then another letter goes out. Then they go in front of the ADRC. Then they have to get that. They have a right to their hearing. So there is a process in place. Then there's nothing that says that we can't, as a board or ADRC or anybody or code, make anybody clean up something. The only thing we can do is levy the fines, and then when it reaches a certain point, then go ahead and proceed with sending it to the attorney for further processing. So there is, as you all know, with the house that we were just talking about, there is a process in place and we have to follow the process. But in your particular case, Ms. Carroll, letters and things have already gone out to those houses.
Those 2 houses.
Yes.
But not the one behind me with their debris pile that's this high.
Right, remember, code cannot go in backyards.
Okay. So how does that get resolved?
You can go ahead, if you have some pictures and you want to send it over to me, I'll gladly take
I
them.
have pictures. I have pictures
Okay.
of everything.
All right, if you want to send them to me, you have my number, you can text them to me.
Okay.
I will print them out,
Okay.
okay?
It's hard to take pictures because there's big trees there and it's kind of dark.
Right,
But I did the best I could.
right.
But, there's been
Right,
things that I've read in our bylaws and whatever
right,
that says people are responsible to keep debris down in their on their property because it does create a vermin situation. And we
Right.
already have that.
right. From the other,
Okay,
we're aware of all of that.
all right.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Is there anybody else? Yeah. Sandy?
Sandy Trouble Lewis, Unit 1. I have two things. The first thing is I had talked with the board about having a meeting with the activities that go on in here for like the Monday night show, the Thursday night show, the social dances that are activities for the residents within what I call the compound within here. And I've been waiting for a meeting date. We have yet to get these 3 activities together and get this straightened out as far as letting outsiders in and people that reside in here not being able to get tickets or whatever to the activities here.
Have you called each one of them?
I haven't. You were gonna set the meeting.
Right, but have you spoke with them?
No.
Okay,
Should I? You want me to?
Well-
I mean, I've talked to Dick.
okay,
They know how I feel.
all right. Have you talked to the other entertainment committee?
I just talked
Other
to,
entertainment?
I just talked to Patty that does the tickets.
Right, I
Not
believe
whoever's in charge.
it was Miss Esther, that told you who to call the last meeting. Is
You?
Bob, was it? It was you, Esther. Yes, that told you who to call, and it wasn't,
It wasn't Patty, no.
it was the gentleman sitting right there.
So I need to talk to you?
Yeah.
And then what
That's
are
your
you gonna do?
connection.
Well, what are you gonna do about it?
Well,
I thought you were gonna
first-
be in on the meeting.
Well, first, you can see if you can resolve it between the both of you.
Okay,
Right,
so it's on, okay, so it's on me.
right. Well, you brought it up.
I
You're
did.
concerned about it. You approach both separate
I
chairpersons.
haven't talked to him. I don't know his name.
His name is Bob.
Hi, Bob. I mean, I know him. I know, I see you. I know.
Bob, the friendly fireman.
Oh, okay.
So, there he is.
Okay, you and me will talk later.
Okay,
You won't like my questions probably.
all right. Well,
Okay.
you won't know
So
until you
anyways,
give it a try.
so that was the first thing. The second thing is, I went to a violation committee meeting and was told that, I wasn't allowed to say anything. I couldn't express my opinion, I couldn't do anything, which I thought was wrong, but I do have a question about that. How do I, as a resident, register kids under the age of 18? Whether they're visiting or, God forbid, I had to get custody of these kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids, whatever, through an unforeseen incident. How do I go about doing that?
Paul, did you want to answer that? Or
Kids
hold
under
18? It's in our, it's on the application that you sign when you come in, that you know that there is no children under the age of 18 allowed to.
That was changed in 2018. And there was a clause taken out that stated if there was a life-changing event,
No,
it's right here, I got it right here. Before it was changed, it was taken out when it was changed. So it was changed at a meeting in April of 2018. Prior to that, it has this written that says if there's an unforeseen incident and I have to become the parental person to guardian, whatever, it would be allowed.
it is not allowed.
It's not now, but it was, and I want to know when it was changed. It's right here, it's crossed out in the new revision, so you knew you crossed it out.
It was
It's
crossed.
crossed out in the amendment, yes.
It was
It's
crossed.
crossed out in the amendment, yes.
Right,
There is a revision for that.
right.
That is the revision.
No, the revisions are on the last page.
This is the last page.
We have to see.
On the last page, that's where it's crossed out. Prior to that, it was okay.
Prior, but
So all of a sudden, there's no family tragedy where if I'm the only grandparent, I can't take my grandkids in because I live here. How did that get changed? Was there a vote on it? Did you guys just change it? And where's all that information?
that wasn't our board.
Oh, I don't know. I know it wasn't your board. That's
But it had to be legally done at a board meeting. But,
Where's the proof?
hold on, sir,
you have to do.
I'm gonna ask you to have decorum. Okay? This is not, okay? What I am saying is, it was changed,
I understand
it
that.
had to be voted on, it was voted on, and it became that rule.
Okay, how do we
Okay.
change the rule?
We're not changing the rule. The rule
How
is the rule.
do we change a rule?
It,
It was voted on to change, so how can we change it back?
Okay, when this was changed, it was voted on by the residents on the ballot.
And it was before I was here.
And it was
All right.
before I was here. So in order to change it back, the board members would have to approve
putting it on a
putting
ballot.
it on a ballot
Right.
to change it back.
No,
No,
no. It was put on a ballot.
Are
It
you
was
sure?
approved.
Are you absolutely sure that we?
Yes, that's how we change things. We put them on ballots.
I know, I voted for things to change. but-
Right. So ma'am, hold on, you haven't been recognized. And are you a homeowner? Okay. The process is, it has to be on a ballot. Now, I will tell you this, and I will be honest with you. When people come into a 55 and over community, they like to call us God's waiting room. Okay? They come in here with a perceived notion that it is over 55 and that they are here
Okay.
with the understanding that there is no children under the age of a certain age, whatever that community has voted on, to live in here.
So
And that is,
what about all
that's
the kids that live in here?
their,
They're what?
right, but they also sign a paper. So when we find them, and we
Okay.
do, because something happens, then we also send them out a letter. They go to the ADRC, they get fined, and after a certain point, then the attorney gets involved. And it goes on to maybe a foreclosure, a lien. It will go on to that point. But I'm not here to debate
No,
one case, and I'm not doing
debating
that.
one case.
Right.
I'm just asking a question.
It was
Specific
voted,
to me.
right, it was,
Specific to me.
it was voted
If I
on.
wanted to get that changed, how do I do it? What do I do? Do I get a
You can't-
petition?
No, you can't do it. There's no petition. It has to be on a ballot. It has to come from the board. And we are not gonna do that.
So only
signed
changes
up in
to
here.
rules can come from the board?
I can tell you, when I moved in here, it was over 55. When you moved in here, it was over 55. When you moved in here, it was over 55. I came in here specifically knowing that. If I wanted to live where there was children, then there's plenty of other areas that you can pick and move and go to. But when you make that decision to go to an over 55 community, you already know that there is certain rules and regulations attached to that statement that there is certain rules and regulations attached to that statement over 55.
But there's exceptions.
But you can't move them into an apartment. You cannot move children into an elderly apartment, no matter what their age. If they're under 18, they're not going in.
Well, I'm not talking about an apartment.
But
I
it's
own
the
my house,
same
I own my
rules.
land.
Right, but you knew when you came in here and you signed
I
that
didn't know my daughter
application.
was gonna die and I'd have to take her kids in. I
Okay,
didn't know that.
none of us do. But then you have to then do a life-changing situation, just like we all have life-changing situations that have happened to us in one way, shape, or another.
It doesn't make sense because there's
Okay, well,
many
I'm
kids
sorry,
in here.
but-
There's many kids in.
Right, well, I'm sorry.
So just in follow-up to what we just said, Nancy Whitestone, Unit 4, thank you. So there is a statute, Florida statute 720. I have it, I don't have it with me tonight, I'll bring it to the next board meeting. But there is a way for the people that live in Brookridge to petition to have a change to an amendment or any bylaw. And there's a percentage of voting people that have to sign that petition.
It would have to be a large percent.
I understand,
Right.
I'll finish, right? It is 20% of the voting population, so it wouldn't be an easy thing to do, but it could be something that can be done. And if the petition is signed by 20%, it automatically has to be ratified. But I'll bring all the information.
But you also have to understand, the rules also state you cannot petition on Brookridge property.
And there is a statute in Florida, 720, I'll find out the exact number of that as well, that gives all HOA residents the right to petition and to gather. So I'll draft it
So let me
here for
just
now.
say this, what about the rights of the people who signed up, who came in here with it being 55? Where do their rights pertain?
And then,
Why should I, no, I wanna just say this, why should I have to live next door to someone where there's children running around from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every night? Not that there is anything against children, but what if I did not sign up for that?
and I hear what you're saying, and it's like what you said, it goes on the ballot. It gets voted on, and it has to have, I believe, 20% of the votes to change
Then what do
that.
you do with the people who came in here underneath the 2018?
So, I'm not going to debate or argue, I'll bring more information in.
Okay,
But if amendment is voted on, what about the people who voted negative against the amendment in the first place, but it got ratified? They have to live under the new ratification. So let's drop that point here. But as long as I'm up here, let me bring my other concern up that relates to, I think it's the same meeting that Sandy was referencing. So I have a concern. I was not allowed to attend the March 21st violation hearing. And I should have been in accordance with the Florida state statutes. The Brookridge Deed Restrictions Document, Article 11, Violations and Enforcement, revision ratified April 4th, 2018, subsection C states, committee. The committee consisting of at least 3 members appointed by the board who are not officers, directors, or employees of the association, or the spouse, parent, child, brother, or sister of an officer, director, or employee shall conduct the hearing. And the committee name that was applied to this committee was the Appeal Violation Review Committee, AVRC, and that's noted in the first place where I saw it in the Brookridge Rules and Regulations, Section 2, Appeal Process, page 31, Section 1. So there was a committee assigned, and you mentioned it, the AVRC. So since it is a committee that is dubbed Florida Statute 720.303, subsection 2, board meetings, subsection A dictates meetings of the board must be open to all members, and it continues on to say, the provisions of this subsection shall also apply to the meetings of any committee or other similar body. So the AVRC is a committee and therefore must be open to all members. I was told I couldn't attend. I was there and I was not allowed into the meeting. And there was another person that came up behind me and asked to be allowed in the meeting, and they were not allowed. Also in that same subsection, statute 72303, subsection B dictates you have to follow the same rules of the board. So any of those committee meetings have to have a 14-day notice of the meetings. They have to do minutes, and members have the right to attend all of the meetings, and thus the committee. The right to attend such meetings includes the right to speak at such meetings with reference to all designated items. In addition, there's another Florida statute, 720.306, meeting of members, which dictates, it's subsection 6, which dictates members and parcel owners have the right to attend all membership meetings and to speak at any meetings with reference to all items open for discussion or included on the agenda. So therefore, I should not have been disallowed to attend that meeting, and anyone who attended the meeting should have been given the right to speak. So that's,
Okay, what you were saying has to do with meetings. This board, the ABRC, is not a board, it's not a meeting that we meet twice a month. This is a violation and committee. It's not, we don't hold meetings. This board here is to hear people's, when they want to come in front of us because they were cited for something, their violation or whatever. We do not, these are not meetings.
yes.
And we're not gonna have anyone to come in, from the outside that should not be in this.
What time did you come into the meeting?
What time did you come in?
I was 30 seconds late. I was
Okay.
30 seconds after 9 o'clock.
Did you were you there for a violation?
I was
No.
there to participate
It's not a
in the meeting.
It's not a
So,
meeting.
are you telling me now that this town hall is not a meeting?
This is a meeting.
Yes.
Right.
That their hearing is just a semantic.
There was,
It's a meeting, they're a committee, it's in our
Okay, there was-
Brookridge deeds
first off,
that
there was-
they're a committee.
there was too many people, from what I understand, in that room, which then was a violation of the fire law.
Well, I understand,
That's the only room that we had.
so,
We don't have the luxury of building a whole new building.
so I understand you have that.
And we do have rules that meeting starts, I believe, at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And everyone has to be present at 9. Anybody after 9 is not allowed in the meeting.
So one, where is that documented? It's not in any of our bylaws, it's not in any of our governing documents. Two, if you pick too small of a room, you had a couple choices. You either postpone the meeting, or you ask if there's people that don't want to attend, but we have the right, according to 72303, what I stated. And it is a meeting, you just dubbed it something else. The only thing that would make it a hearing that would not permit the whole body to be there is if the lawyer was there, and if the meeting was going to talk about a potential litigation or a litigation that was in play. Those are the only exceptions in 720.
In personnel.
So what you're trying,
And personnel,
so what
sorry.
you're saying is that, if you were able to attend, quote unquote, the meeting,
Yes,
that you would be in there sitting and listening to those people that have time slots to come in for their violations.
yes,
You're gonna be in there listening to all this?
yes, and I would have the right to speak. You can't say no.
How would you have a right to speak when it has these violations that these people come in for? Where's your?
Because you may have an opinion about it.
No, you can't
But
have an opinion.
I
This is a
have a right to it because of,
But remember, when they are in the ABRC, they are looking straight at the rule and the violation.
yes, that's
Right.
what the
And the
agenda is.
rule, you apply the rule to the violation,
Mhm.
just like you do in any hearing.
I agree with that,
Informal hearing.
but it's a meeting, informal meeting.
But if there is, if what you have to say does not apply to the rule, or the violation, then.
Well, I'm not saying it would have applied to, not to the rule, but again, Florida
Well, I think I-
statute 720-303 subsection 2, board meetings, subsection B dictates members have the right to attend all meetings of the board and committees, and the right to attend such meetings includes the right to speak at such meetings with reference to the designated items. So yes, you couldn't talk about whatever you wanted to in that meeting, but you could talk about the violation. So I just wanted to make sure
Okay.
you're aware that there's a
Thank you.
statute that we have to have these
Oh.
meetings open.
There was a gentleman.
Okay. Did you want?
There was a gentleman who wanted to say something about the people's lifestyle, or there was character, there was a character witness. My comment to him was it was not pertinent to what the violation was for, so therefore it was not allowed. That's what I was saying to him. And that's what it is. It had, it's got nothing to do with what the violation was for. It had to do with their character.
Okay, first off, this has gone way off what we are here for tonight. This is, okay, it is, but we are not discussing cases that are coming before the board. Okay, well, we're not gonna, this is not the debate for the current rule that is out there. Right, and you can bring that up at the board meeting.
I'd like to
When
ask
all of
a
them-
question about
Hold on, please, hold on. Your name and unit number.
Pam Prevo, Unit 3. I'd like to ask a question about the investigation, how they come up with these violations. Because according to the rules and regulations, children under 18 can only reside in a residence for 90 days, is that correct? Per calendar year. So how were these people served on day 32 of the calendar year?
Were they here the year before?
It's a
I mean,
calendar
right,
year.
were they here that previous time? I don't know. I have no idea. It has not come in front of the board. So I don't even know what you are really
My
referring
question
to.
is, how can they be in violation when they haven't committed a violation yet? When
Okay,
the time period has not expired?
we haven't seen,
It's supposed to be an investigation.
right, we have not seen
Violation.
any violation as of yet. None of us have. Correct, Catherine? You
No, but
haven't
how
seen-
can
right.
there be hearings and letters and all kinds of other things, warnings of fines and warnings of suspension of privileges, if a proper investigation wasn't done and these people were in violation?
I mean, people look at all kinds of things, when children are registered in school, when they're seen, things like that. I mean, school registration, whatever you do with the kid in the school as far as registering them and things like that, that goes also to speak to how long children have been here.
I agree, but don't all parties include the actual person who's supposed to be in violation?
I don't even know who you're talking about, so I can't even give an answer because I don't know who you're talking about. So nothing has come to the board yet. So but you're
Okay,
asking
so
me whatever.
let's
I'm
go
telling you,
abstract.
people look at school registration forms, things like that.
Okay,
So
let's go abstract on this.
I'm not going abstract.
Well,
I'm not. This
can't
here,
find
right,
this
I
information
can't,
abstract.
right, but the board talks specifics. We look at rules, we look at what is currently in front of us. I don't have anything in front of us. None of us do.
Okay, so let's say my nephews come to visit me, and I would like to register them as register them as residents for the 90 days. How do I go about and do that? Because I've called the office and they don't have any forms to be filled out.
Right, we don't have forms for the 90 days.
So then how do you,
Right.
how do you
Right,
determine?
you notify us, right, there's not a form, you put it in writing to us.
When I called the front office, I was told, you keep track of how long your children are here. And then if they're here longer than 90 days, then you're in violation.
Well, what people usually do is they usually will send us a letter or an email saying, my grandchildren are coming on this date and they're gonna be here for this long and they're leaving on this date. That's usually what happens in the office. People
So-
usually send an email to us stating that.
So is this something that you should possibly communicate or write down in your rules and let people know that's the process? Because I literally called the office 5 separate times, tried to speak to the, they said I had to talk to code violation, tried to get through to them, didn't happen, finally called the front office again and said, what steps do I take to register these children? And they said, oh, you just keep track of how long they're staying there, and if it's over 90 days, then there's a violation.
Well, I'll take that and I will definitely ask about it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Yes, sir. You've been waiting. I know you have.
Can't say, can you hear me? I'm Mr. LeBret. I'm in Unit 2. I'd like to make a couple comments about a couple other things. Well, first about the 18-year-old people being here. To me, it seems like many people moved in here and the rules were much different than they are now. So they should have been, to me, grandfathered in. That's what I think. Okay, now let me give you a little history because I don't know how long you've been around here. Around 2005, the board forgot to register this as a 55 community. And a lot of people that were, you know where they went to live. They had all kids. They even had school buses that ran in here, if you remember. So these people obviously are grandfathered in.
No. The grandfathering only goes to, say, Catherine was 16, making you really young, 16. The rule changed that it was then at over 55. Catherine is grandfathered in, but nobody else from Catherine is grandfathered in. That's a grandfathering.
Yeah.
Right, but her children are not grandfathered in. Her husband's not grandfathered in if he's under 18. Oh, you're robbing the cradle. So only Catherine is the grandfather. Nobody else, if Catherine was to have twins, babies, none of those would be grandfathered. The grandfather ends at Catherine.
Okay. Okay. So you know that this wasn't always a 55.
Correct, yes, it made a lot of the newspapers back then, and I read the articles. And they had a big vote on it, and it was a major vote, and it became a very high percentage that wanted the 55. At that time, the children were grandfathered in, the buses still came and went, and then as children had got older and they left and they went on, then that grandfathered end at that child.
No, I'll have to understand that a little bit better later. The other thing about the children who come and visit, is it 90 days or 30 days?
90,
Oh, it's 90.
right,
Okay, it was 30 days.
annually.
Is it, I don't think it was annually.
Yes.
It's a running,
No,
that's what it
right.
was.
Because we do have We do have people who they have one set of grandchildren that come for this part, the other set, and then they bring them all back together and then they're all here. I mean, we have those kind of situations go on, but it's 90 days annually on a yearly calendar.
And I was just talking about the violation committee, is there was a violation, people would get a speeding ticket, or their daughter would get a speeding ticket, or somebody coming in to work in a house would get a speeding ticket. You get the fine, I can understand that, but then you take the privileges away from everybody in that household. Like,
Remember, it's under the UBL,
yeah, so you can take,
right?
but that just
But-
doesn't seem
right.
American to me, which
But-
I told some people.
And just to play devil's advocate, your daughter's driving the Mustang. She's going fast, she gets a speeding ticket, okay? You have the Caravan. We suspend her, but then she decides she's gonna get in the Caravan and drive your car and go through the gate and everything. But it goes to the UBL. We can't say, Millie, is suspended, but Catherine's not suspended and they live together in the same house. We can't do that. It's under one UBL number.
Well, I
Right.
think that's really un-American, because if your son or daughter went out and committed a crime and killed somebody, you're gonna take everybody who lives in a house.
Well, I think that's a totally,
Well,
that's not
it's just giving you an
even,
example.
well, if you wanna go there, look at the child who did that terrible thing in school and the parents were held accountable for it. So, I mean, if you wanted to go there, that's right.
Some of these childs are over 18.
But
Okay,
it goes on the UBL.
okay.
Okay.
I just think that's
Ma'am.
un-American, that
Okay.
you punish somebody for something
Right.
that they didn't do. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Nancy, this young lady's been waiting.
Let me just support what you just said. Because 720-305, section 2, the suspension may be applied against the owner, parcel owners, occupants, invitees, anyone who's in the home, owner, tenant, parcel. So yes, everyone, if you fine them, the fine goes to the UBL, and suspensions can go across everyone.
Thank you. Robin.
Robin Napier, Unit 3. I have a couple of things. I had to put it down on my little notes here. Okay, this one's gonna be referred to last week or this beginning of the week. We got an email about Dick. I don't know how to say his last name. It starts with a T. Who? There we go. Okay, was he let go or was he fired? Did he decide to quit?
No, we ended our employment relationship with him.
At will?
It was, I guess you could say that.
Okay.
But remember, employment laws are extremely strict.
Right.
You would not want me discussing anything if you were employed somewhere and weren't there anymore.
Right.
Right, so employment laws are very strict on what you can say and you can't say.
Okay. So with that said, did he have a contract with us? Do we have anything that we're
We have
obligated?
no contract.
No contract, okay. Do we have anybody since Carol Webster, because that was one of our concerns, was Carol Webster had that contract, you guys remember? And we had, I don't know if we had to buy her out, pay her off, whatever.
there's-
Nothing,
No, we never bought her out.
okay.
No,
So she just got let go and there was no money involved.
that's because we,
You had reason.
Correct.
Okay, so is there anybody since then that we've hired that has a contract with us?
no,
No one has signed
no,
any
we're not
contracts?
doing contracts.
Good. Okay, that was one of 5, sorry folks. Number 2, are we gonna do anything more for the birthday for the 50th?
Yeah, we're gonna ask for another committee.
Committee, okay. And then number 3 is, over 2 years ago, we had board meetings where Mary, is it Ontario? Astoria, Linda Walls, and Paul Harris would come up here. Who? Harrison would come up here and ask the old board about a $90,000 debt and an audit that we have been waiting for forever. When are we gonna find out about the 90,000? Because since y'all took over, it's almost like it's gone in the trash can. I guess we can't do anything about it. I don't know. I haven't heard a word about it.
Okay, I don't believe that. I believe what maybe, Linda, and you can correct me, maybe they were referring to was the reserve account at that time, which was 97,000 that short, because they found where they said they were going to put the check in. They wrote the check, but it was never put in. Is that correct, Linda, on that? Because it was several payments
Yeah,
that were not
the
put
last
in.
board,
Right,
they wrote the checks, the
right.
checks never cleared the bank, have no idea. They voided them out and used the checks to pay other things and not
Right.
put the money in the reserve account. It was 2 payments.
So does that explain where the money went?
The money's still there. They never wrote the check.
They never wrote, right. They never cashed the check.
They never cashed the check.
So the
But
money,
they played with the numbers. And then when this board took over, we started doing the research and found where those 2 payments into the reserve account hadn't been made. And this board had to make up those 2 payments.
So the money was still there, it was just not paid out. And now it's been paid out, and now we're at the balance.
right, right.
So when are we gonna
Reserve
do an
account
audit?
is fine. The audit is in play. Go ahead.
The audit is in place and
They should
it
be,
should be here according to my conversation with Jim earlier this week. The auditor's saying hopefully he would have it completed and in their hands by the end of the 2nd week of April. So keep your fingers crossed.
right,
This is on video.
yes. Yes, it is.
I can't wait to go home and see me. Such a life. Number 4, does the board of directors have a code of conduct when something should be addressed? Such as a board member doing something that's inappropriate or unacceptable?
The 720 is very explicit on board members. And remember, there is only certain things that can be for a board member, such as embezzlement. We gave a contract to somebody and Millie negotiated it, and it was her brother or a friend or something like that. But the 720s are very explicit on what is an improper conduct for a board member, and when a board member could or should be have them resign.
Okay, and then my last question. If a member is asked to step down, does the board of directors have the right to say, all right, Naomi, we're gonna ask you to step up here and come in and help us at the board?
So we can ask a board member to step down, we all can, but it's up to that board member. So if it wasn't in a violation of a 720, then no, that board member does not have to step down. And we could not say, hey, Robin, come sit up here. You can't do that. No, you would have to vote on it all as a board, but that board member does not have to step down if that board member
Okay.
does not want to.
I was just scared because I heard rumors that you guys could just say, you know what, I'm gonna take them and bring them up and set them up there and we didn't vote on them.
You ready, Robin?
No,
Oh, no, like you
no,
want.
but I can't wait to see film. Film at 11.
If the board member steps down, and remember, we were posed with that question before, that we had 2 board members that stepped down, so that just left 5 of us. And we could have filled those positions for the term that was left. So just using you, Robin, for film at 11, an example, say Robin was on the board, she stepped down, she had a 3-year term, she stepped down, she had 2 years. I could then we could ask Nancy if she would step in, but it would only be to fill Robin's term. But we have decided, we thought it was best to be voted on by everybody who they wanted on the board and not the board to do that, if that makes sense to everybody. So that's why we left it just with the 5 of us until it came back around again. And then all those positions would be not reset, but set. So, right. Mhm. Does that, thank you. Anybody else? Okay,
One thing.
one thing, sorry, Vince.
I'd just like to remind everybody that, starting the 15th of April, the public's been closed for 2 weeks. We will be open as soon as possible, but the target deadline is, or the date would be, April 30th or May 1st. Looking into May, we'll be paving the boulevard, going from from Country Club to Weatherford. So anybody in that area on both sides of the street, I would ask them to, if they have any pavers out front of along their street, please remove them. If you need to have any edging needs to be done along their curbing or along their stuff, please get that taken care of. We'll be milling both sides of the boulevard, so one side will be closed and the other side will be open. And then we'll do the same opposite way for paving the boulevard. So areas will be addressed as far as I've talked to Mr. Azzarelli with the paving company that the areas in question are at the top of the Vine and the boulevard and a couple other areas that could be rectified with milling with the drainage on that road. So we'll be looking at some of those areas that are prone to having water on them for a long period of time. We'll be addressing those kind of issues. So thank you.
And I'm just gonna read this one more time for Jim, just in case somebody is coming in late, but I'm reading the whole thing again. This is not a BCPO sponsored community event. If you are a shut-in or someone with a special need or know of such a person, there will be a special luncheon next Wednesday, April 10th. This meal will be delivered to your home and privacy and confidentiality will be respected. If you are interested, please call Jim Westbrook at 231-392-3303. And I'll just say one more time. Jim Westbrook's number is 231-392-3303. Thank you. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'm gonna go ahead and adjourn this meeting. It is 8:08 p.m. on April 4th, 2024. Thanks, everybody. I hope you all have a safe trip home. And board meeting next week.